So let's go ahead and start putting together our baby list or baby needs list app here. So let's go ahead and say File, New Project. And this time we are going to actually use the basic activity project because it's going to give us a few things that we will need. As you can see, we're going to have this floating button here. You will see it secondly, and other things, right? So we've been using the empty activity, but now we're going to move to adding a basic activity. So click on basic activity and then say next. I'm going to call this baby needs. All right, say finish. Take a few seconds here, but as you know very well now, we should have our project ready in just a few moments. And voila. But notice now there's something very interesting that happens. If you go to our layout folder, which is what opens automatically, we have the activity main XML, but also we have content main activity. Now, if we go to our activity main here XML, you'll see something a little bit different, right? You'll notice that in our component tree, we have the coordinator layout, we have the app bar layout, we have the toolbar, which is now added automatically. Toolbar is going to be at the top here, where we can put buttons and other things. But also we have this include tag here, and you can see it says hello world. Well, this include layout, let's go to our text view. Actually, we have to be to our main XML there. Go to text, you will see the XML representation. This include layout points to our layout content main. So you can see now the difference here is that we are actually including layouts from somewhere else into our activity main XML. So that is something that is possible. So we could have created another XML here, another layout, and include it anywhere we want. So this is what happens here. So what this does is that we are separating even our XML layouts as well, right? So we create content main, as you can see here, and then inside of activity main XML, we are including it. So this activity main XML contains, as you can see here, our app bar layout, which is at the top there, right? So this is where we can put buttons and all other action buttons we can add at the top there. You've seen applications with those, okay? And very good. And then we have our toolbar, which is inside, as you can see, of our app bar, because that is the parent tag there. Very good. And then of course we have this floating action bar, which is a very special button that floats around, so it will look as if it's floating on top of the main view. In fact, let's go ahead and give it a run here real quick so we can actually see all of these in action. All right, should be ready. And voila, you can see now we have our app here. Okay, so hello world, we know where it comes from now. And notice now we have our toolbar here, right, which has this given button here, right, this action button at the top. So it goes settings, we can click there, and nothing happens at this point. So there's a few new things that we're going to look at a later time. But there we go. So we have our application and we have our floating bar. And when you click, you can see there's that very nice animation and show something in there. Okay, very cool. Just like a drawer, if you will. All right, so that is what we're given when we choose to create an activity the way we did when we started creating this project. So at this point, I'm going to go back to our content here, activity, and I'm going to get rid of this. In fact, I can come just here and delete all of that. Notice now it's all gone. The next thing I'm going to do is actually restructuring or adding a little bit more structure to our app here. So what we're going to do, let's go to our Java package there. And so I'm going to create a few other packages so we can organize our code better, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and say package. Let's say UI. I'm going to create another one. This is going to be data, util, model. So you already know data is going to put data classes, model classes, user, UI for user interface. If we need to add anything user interface related, we're going to put in there, and util, any utility classes that we may need. All right, and we have our main activity there. But you also notice inside of our main activity here, a few things have been added, right? Because we talked about that floating button, which does all this great stuff here, right? It shows the information inside, and then a few seconds later, it goes down. So this is the code. Let's click here so we can actually see the entirety of the code. So again, very simply, you can see the floating action button. It is a class, and we're instantiating it by saying r.id.fab. So command click that is going to take us exactly where it is being defined. It's inside of our activity main. Okay, so there is our floating action button there. So coming back to here, you can see then we set on click listener, the same thing just like any other button. We have on click there, and then we invoke the snack bar, which is a class that allows us to create some sort of a toast message. But it's a different kind of toast message because now this is connected to the view. If you go back here, you can see the moment we click this button here, it's connected to this whole view and added that information there. Okay, so it is what I call the toast class 2.0, right? That's what a snack bar is. Okay, so essentially is all the same thing as we said before. You notice that in toast, we would say toast that make and pass in this case, the activity or the context, and then we pass the string that we want to show, and then we pass the length in which we want this to be shown, in this case the snack bar, right? So it's the same syntax as you can see there. So what you can do actually is add your own listener inside of whatever it's showing there. Okay, so there are other things you can do, and then of course we're showing it. And next we have this on create options menu. So what is this? Well, this is what is responsible for creating this toolbar at the top here, right? So the settings buttons that we can add as action buttons at the top there. And how does that happen? Well, we've seen this inflator, layout inflator class, maybe not in this form, but there is this way in which we can say get menu inflator and inflate, which means we're inflating from where? We're inflating from our menu XML. You notice that was created inside of this menu here. So because we chose that new option of creating our activities, notice now we have this menu folder here, which contains the menu XML. So this menu XML, that's where we actually create items which are going to be shown when we click, as you can see here. So we can create many items that we want so that when they click on these three dots, then we have settings. In this case, we just have one, but we can add other actions as well. Okay, very good, very good. Small things, but nonetheless very important. Very good. So at this point here, we have at least gone through all the things that we want. And then of course we have the option selected, meaning when the selection has been done, in this case, you click on the settings, then something has to happen. So this is where we actually go and get the item ID. And then in this case, we're not doing anything. We're just returning true. That's why when we come down here and click the settings, nothing really happens, right? So here we would of course do something. Let's say we want to open a new activity or whatever it is that we want to do, then we'll put the code here. This is a new piece of codes that we have here, but nevertheless it's all given to us, and if we want to use it and create things, we can do it, and we can get rid of it if we don't want to use it as well. But we're going to keep it all like this so that we get used to seeing all this stuff. And I almost forgot, we have this toolbar which was created by going to toolbar by inferring our toolbar ID. Click on that and see where that toolbar is. You remember when I showed earlier, the toolbar is indeed created inside of our app bar layout, which is there, and then inside it we have the toolbar, get ID, and then it's being inflated here, and then we're setting support action bar and passing the toolbar. Now the reason why we pass the support action bar is because we want to make sure that all of the backward compatibilities is also seen or taken care of, because some API levels for Android may not be able to actually use a toolbar, but in this case here it makes sure that the application still works on earlier versions of Android. So there's a lot of support in Android for those reasons that I've just said here, supporting the previous versions of Android. Okay, very good. So it seems like there was a lot that we had to go through here, but nonetheless, do not worry. We're going to go through all this stuff with greater details at later times. But as you can see, it's not that bad. Okay, so we're making very good progress here. In the next video, we'll continue and start putting together the user interface for our baby list app here. I'll see you next.